Alright, so now that we have that, we can actually get back to the visitor center and get through the locked keypad to access the computer we need to reboot the system. So check this out, right? This was the locked door, but alas, we would have no idea it was a locked door. BIOS load. Power on. Jurassic Park 1.0 version. Go fractal. Reboot main system. Alright, so there we have that. The visitor center is pretty expansive, honestly. So we can't do much else at the moment without a few more key cards. So we're going to go back to the elevator right quick and now check out the roof level. I love that. You can trigger the raptor snarl even if it's through a wall. So I was close enough to a raptor through the wall. Oops. There we go. Alright, so just a demonstration though, see, it's not exactly 3D. It's always going to be the front of the raptor or behind. No matter where we are or how we're oriented. That's unfortunately the case. But hey, Super Nintendo, it's pretty impressive that Ocean actually did this on Super Nintendo. Ah, that venom. These compies are the most annoying little things ever. No, you can't jump off the roof, no matter how hard you try. But see, there's the key card that's on the overworld. So whose is it? John Hammond's ID card. And there is an egg on the roof as well. To go. Alright, so we've done everything that we need to on the visitor center roof. Now I believe we need to go downstairs. Let me check the game. I didn't have anything. I was like doing everything from memory. But at the same time, I would say that I would be able to consistently do the following objectives. Reboot the generator, check. Find Denis Nedry's ID card, check. And then reboot the system, check, which is what I've done up to this point now, right? And then the next thing I would do is go stop the raptors from getting into the visitor center. Now that's almost about half the game right there, believe it or not. But now that I'm doing things a little bit more optimally here, this is why I needed to look at the map and figure, okay, where do I go now that I have the Hammond ID? I have enough information to get See, this is the room I need to get Dr. Alan Grant's ID card. But first, we need to go into the basement level. So a secret elevator, and then we're in the basement like server room areas, which is actually cool. They took the time to make more whatchamacallits. Well, here the walls are still the same, but just wait. More textures, that's what I was trying to think of. Okay, yeah. So incidentally, if you can't stumble your way through dark rooms. If you enter them and do not have batteries, you die, period. Like, even if there are no dinosaurs in the room, you are programmed to die. So don't do it. Control room. Alright, now here's something that I kind of find slightly unfair. See this elevator? Let me come up to it so you can see. You need Ellie Sattler's ID card. Interestingly enough, you can actually, because this is connected to the Raptor pin, you can come out of this elevator. But you are not restricted with Ellie Sattler's ID card on the other side. So it's absolutely possible for you to be in the Raptor pin, come out of this elevator like you're here, and then maybe wander around, and maybe you try to go back. Oops, but you can't. So maybe there should have been some programming as far as not allowing you to go out of locked doors like that. I should have used Ebola because it would have actually taken out both. Alright, here is, as you can see, this is what the batteries look like. So now I can go into any of the dark rooms in the visitor center. Anyone lost yet? So here is what dark rooms look like with the night vision goggles. So here's another little bit of a fun fact. Remember, Ocean was a game developer company in like England, Britain, or whatever. Now, the terminology that the Brits use is slightly different than the terminology Americans use. So like, for example, you might not realize every time we go in the visitor center, since there's a basement and then there's additional floors, it always calls it ground level, right? And so then if you go up a floor, it says first floor. But of course in America, when you enter, even on the ground level, that is the first story, the first floor. and if you go up to the second one, that's the second story. It's not the first story. So it's a fun thing that it's like, wow, I didn't really, that was never drawn to my attention until much later in life. But then it's like hilarious because it's like I can't unsee it now, and in fact I even have this video game that illustrates this. Okay, I believe we cannot do anything else without Dr. Wu's card. So I'm gonna head out of the visitor center now. And then I'm probably gonna have to actually have a timeout. Make a So, in case you didn't see that, I'll go ahead and show this off right quick. Because we're on the ground floor, right? In America, this would be the first story. So let me come up and then notice what it says when we eject. In America, this would be floor number 2, but this is floor number 1 in this Brit-made game. I love it. Start my timer either. We are off to the raptor pen, and we are going to attempt to stop the raptors from entering into the visitor center as one of the objectives. Alright, let's get going here. I have an approximate time of how long I was playing on the last session. As you can see here, 39:57, so we'll just call it good. Start from there. Items. Alright, so interestingly enough, we can't jump over this, but we can hit this, and this permanently, however far we move this, will permanently be across. Alright, while we're here, before we do the raptor pen though, I'm going to go ahead and grab I think it's actually just one egg. Ah, there it is. How many do we have left? 11? Not too shabby. And it always confuses me. I know there's something above this on this side of the river, but what I can't ever remember if it's an egg or if it's a first aid kit. And it's a first aid kit. Oh no, I forgot, you can't go around that side. It's solid. Rats. Alright, so if we get to about right, holy cow! The edge of the cliffside here, you can begin to see the raptor pen, in case you kind of get lost in the jungle, so to speak. Alright, so let me get rid of this raptor right quick though. Oops. Switch to my cattle prod in on the inside. The raptor pen is the easiest access of the computer, period. So if we ever need the computer, which we kind of will occasionally from time to time, this is kind of like our go-to little area. We're actually going to go down 2 floors to the ground level because we actually first need to grab the night vision batteries. Alright, so here's our thankfully infinite respawning little health pack. So notice we are on the ground floor of the raptor pen, right? So it's kind of nice, cool idea as far as like, oh hey, like we're looking out into the bushes to kind of help you orient yourself a little bit. Especially considering, I mean, if you have extremely limited amount of anything, resources, graphics, tiles, computing power, that's exactly why all of your super old games, so that they're not, you know, a single room, have self-similar or maze-like design. And so kind of not so much in the Super Nintendo era, but in the N64 when it was transitioning to straight up 3D. Alright, 2 for 1 right there. Alright, batteries. So we're actually going to backtrack right quick now to the elevator. So the question to the competent game designer is the following. If you have to have self-similar rooms, how can you make it so that the player is not so disadvantaged that the player gets inevitably lost? Make it easier for the player to make mental notes of where they are. Alright, so here is a pretty short area, just the upper level. I love shotguns. But we need the night vision goggles for this room right here. And why, look, we have an ID card in here. Dr. Ian Malcolm. Alright, so just to use this game as an example, a lot of the inside areas are very maze-like. In fact, the raptor pen we're going to see has... Yes, it's true that the entry level and the upper level are like 2 rooms, but now we're on the ground level. It has a sub-level and it has a sub-level 2. And those are not exactly built super straightforward. So notice how here we do have subtle clues as far as we have different texturing. Like we know we're on the ground floor when we can see out. Let's see right up there. Alright, remember this door for later. This is a bizarrely... We need security level 1 in order to access this door for some reason. But remember back in the visitor center, there are also different decorations. Maybe the room is shaped differently. Maybe there's a piece of furniture. Maybe there's a plant. Maybe there's a differently positioned plant. There's all of these very subtle clues that really gamers of that generation, which I really don't know. Like, obviously, I don't want to come across as sounding like video games rot your mind, but unfortunately, the hand-holding video games that are made today in general with, like, you know, you have your flashing beacons and waypoints, make it way too easy, and so the player doesn't have to think at all in order to play. Games like this, like, even if you're not making a physical map, like, you have to, like, actually be thinking and learning, like, where in the world you have to go, especially like this game where you are never given the ability to see where you are in a world map setting. So if you can't recognize where you are based on looking at trees, formations, bushes, even on the outside overworld, it's like you're kind of this hopeless lost cause. So hence why we needed to pick up the, whoa! Okay, for some reason I believe that if we stick to the left, we get to an area of importance. Okay, yeah, the secondary elevator here. Alright, so remember this. This is not the elevator we came out of. This is the secondary elevator. I will leave that first aid kit there as a, like, demarcation in case we get turned around. So that is, if we are at secondary elevator, we can then stick to the right to get back to primary elevator. But our job here actually first is to kill this raptor. We need to find Dr. Muldoon's, I think, actually he's not a doctor, right? Robert Muldoon's ID card. I think we can go through here. There are a lot of closed loops, if you will, in the sense that we can come out into a room or come back out to a hallway, and we would be in the same hallway or room. So I think we go right here. So like, for example, if I were to go left, I might be able to get back to that same hallway. Yep, key card. So I do believe, though, I think this is a locked door that we just went through. I can't quite remember, though. But this is Robert Muldoon's ID card. His, because he was the weapons guy, right? Essentially, the instruction manual is like all trying to give you hints, like, you know, look, think of how the character was. So he was the weapons guy, so you need his ID card to be able to access the room in which you pick up the nerve gas, because you have to destroy the raptor nests. Alright, I'm trying to get back to the double door, which I believe I just came out of. Good, I did. So now that I have Robert Muldoon's card, remember, we're now going to our secondary elevator so that we can now descend to the sub-level number 2. And double check first aid kit, check, in the right place. Alright, now I believe here when we have the choice, we want to actually take a left. Right, see how we can go both directions here? I'm pretty sure the other way is a dead end. Okay, I believe this is the locked Allen Grant door, so had we not taken the extra time to do that little subquest in the visitor center, we would find ourselves at a locked door right here. We need Alan Grant's. Now see this crate? This is like a unique item, right? If we get to, from where I'm standing, the left side of this and walk forward, it will push this crate in front of that door and thus, oh hi, prevent raptors from getting in the visitor center. And this elevator, remember, is that elevator that if I walk out of will require Dr. Ellie Sattler's card to get back in. But we do have the night vision goggles. I want to kind of show you this. Notice how the walls textures change. This is supposed to be kind of a cave, I think. Or they made it as cave-like as possible with what tiling allowed in Super Nintendo graphics. So, but at the same time, it's like, what's with the Jurassic Park texture in this cave system? Well, that would have been perfect for the bolas there, honestly. Got 3 birds with 1 stone. So as you can see, there's not really anything in here except a whole ton of raptors. But at the very, 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 very end, ha! I missed one of the little critters. Is some bolas and a 1-up. So yes, like I said, this 1-up could respawn if we're willing to walk all the way out of the raptor pen or / visitor center, because those two are connected. But now if we block off, if we complete that objective, we can never come back in here again though. And usually I actually don't bother coming in here because lives aren't that difficult to come by. If you practice just a little bit, typically you won't be dying, and then you can always restore your health. But so anyways, let me push this crate then. The raptors have stopped entering the visitor center. Now notice it's like this collision and I can't get in the door. So let's go ahead and exit out of the visitor center, just so I can prove this point. We've walked out the Dr. Ellie Sattler lock. Oops. Alright, so like I said though, from this point, I could pretty much do these objectives like from memory. Alright, see how there's also different things like the protect from heat sign, there's a vent, there's a chalkboard. So tons of just visual cues as far as what can the game designers do. But I would say the master class is like Area 51 in the game Perfect Dark. Like that game, they even went so far as design the doors differently. So that you can vividly know where you are. And I have So now we kind of have to do some backtracking, if you will.